This little guy came in for lights on, but nobody's home. We're past that. They were trying to do secure boot, so secure boot strikes again. But I just through all of the mess, I just wanna. It just looks good. Oh my god, it's so cute. So I've been looking at these lights. Like, these are weird. This is a weird way to put your RGB. Why would you put your RGB in the chipset? Is it is it naked? Is it just because? Where is the heatsink? Why is the heatsink gone? We've located the heatsink, and now I'm trying to clean off very, very, very dried putty. So I wanted to show off this thermal paste remover. I've been told it's the equivalent of using Goof Off. This is soaked in rubbing alcohol. We'll get some more. This stuff is so dry. Laptops can get this way too, but this is, the heatsink's been off and it's been running, so oh, it's so cakey. I could be here for like ages. I mean, look at how fuzzy this is. It's just coming apart. So this is from Arctic Clean. Like I said, you could use Goof Off, but I am too timid to do that on a customer's computer. One drop. Grab a cotton ball, and we're just gonna rub it. Because it's oil-based, so it's gonna mix nicely with our oil-based paste and come pretty well up. I might need another drop on this bottom one. And then they have a step 2, which it's more than rubbing alcohol when you read all their data. This one's almost empty. When you read all their data, it's got minerals in it that are supposed to help increase conductivity of heat and stuff. All I know is it doesn't react with aluminum heat sinks the way rubbing alcohol does. When you mix the alcohol and the aluminum, it makes an oxide, and then it gets all black and bleh. This doesn't do that, so it's happiness in my book. Okay, I'm excited to plug this all in and see if it just works. We've started. We could only find 2 of the little washers on the back, so we ended up using a little piece of tape, because I'm pretty sure they're just for a little bit of spacing and insulation, but our tape is a slightly different thickness than the washers. Does it take a lot of Q-tips? That's like the 3rd pile to get the old thermal paste off, put the new on, and I think we did use some putty just because of how thick the thermal paste was on the previous thing. And then next step is to do a little bit of cleaning, because there's some little bits that I want to clean up, and then we're gonna throw it back in and see what happens. I did find one of the screws for this with the little spring on it was behind the motherboard, and I knew I was going to be looking for it in the tower because he only had 3, and he's like, I'm pretty sure 1 fell. I was hoping it was like down here somewhere and it wouldn't be a big deal. No, it was wedged behind the motherboard, and when I took the motherboard out, I was taking the motherboard out and it fell. So I'm assuming it was like right behind this, right behind here, which could very well be part of the problem. And then, actually, I will probably flip these around before I put the motherboard back in. I'll do some wiring, tidy, and stuff like that. And I actually had to take this out. Because it was like wedged up against there. So hopefully we'll get this back to him today, because we have a 4-day weekend for Labor Day coming up, and I want to get this back so he can play with it over the weekend. Alright, we are flipped around, and it just occurred to me that I probably decided to pull this out and flip it around because the nice thick tubes, they're actually pretty stiff. They were making it so you couldn't have a fan properly in the right spot over here, so I flipped it around, and it'll do all right with those, anyway. While I had this out, the cooler, the radiator, I should have put the motherboard in so that I can get the CPU power cables through there easily. But it's turned around. I also undid all the rat's nest in the back, and I say gently because I was actually gently pulling out the cables, and one of them just came out, and interestingly, it's the CPU power. So I'm wondering if that was one of the other factors in why this thing wasn't booting up is if that had at some point come loose. That's my finger, sorry. So I'm really, really hopeful that we'll put it all together and it's just worked. I'm also optimistic until proven otherwise. It'll be a lot of work for nothing if it doesn't, but we're gonna see. Forgot to say I'm actually gonna swap out all the standoffs because he was using the wrong screws. I think he was using this screw. Was this in the motherboard? Yeah, and there were only like 3 or 4 if I remember correctly. So I've been working on a couple of these motherboards not installed properly computers, so they all blend together. Anyway, we've got extra standoffs and stuff, so I'm gonna swap out the standoffs so in case any of them are stripped out, I don't have to deal with that. Motherboard is in. Doesn't she look pretty? Next, we're gonna install the cooler and put that fan in. There, the end is gonna fit. It's gonna be great. There's actually a good amount of clearance between the motherboard and the radiator, so that's nice. Thank you. I think Superflower is the brand of this case, so nicely thought out. And then once I get that done, we're gonna plug in all the spaghetti and then we're gonna see if it turns on. So yay! I pulled the power supply out because it was missing a screw, and I just wanted to check all the other cables since the CPU just came out. And I was like, oh, okay. We're gonna plug everybody in nice and snug. Want to see something gross? These VGA cables are separate, like all the way to the power supply. So I'm trying to separate them because he's got 3, you know, going into his graphics card. And I assume that it matters that they stay together, but just, is this why Superflower makes everyone else's power supplies? Is they just make bad decisions when they make their own? Ugh. My temporary solution to a permanent design problem. Just so I know everybody's together who needs probably to be together. Alright, temporary solution replaced with a, I guess you could call it permanent. Anyway, and then I'm going to recommend he get a little bracket for this guy because eventually... I was looking for the pump fan up here, or the pump header, and it wasn't. CPU optional. I thought I'd put it there, but then I found there's actually, it's right here, all the way down here. And I checked and the cable is not long enough to go out the back and down and around and then like peek out. And so I routed it, and I thought about routing it down this way. I'm wondering if that would be less visible. It will be. Okay, so I'm going to route it the other direction just so you don't see it right where the lights for the fans are going to be shining on it. But I still, I hate it when I have to do that. And like route cables on the front of the board. It just, the before. Now we're going to do the spaghetti. Progress report. I was looking for his Molex. This goes to the front panel. I'm assuming it has some kind of RGB or whatever, and it wasn't plugged in before, and I thought, well, maybe once I sort through all these I'll find the Molex, and there isn't one plugged in right now. And I just went through all my adapters, and I don't have a SATA to Molex. I usually don't keep them on hand because, you know, SATA to Molex blow off your Rolex, so I try not to do that. These are break off PCIe cover slot covers, and I'm in the ethical dilemma. Should I remove it or should I leave it? Because he left it. Is that because he likes it that way? Is that because he, oops, didn't feel like fixing it? Ugh, it's slanted because I haven't screwed it in yet. Don't mind that. Anyway, it'll be look like that. It's probably fine. I mean, and I have an extra cover I can sneak right here for him, so I'll do that much. But I don't know if I should remove that because, like I said, it's a break-off one. So once it's gone, it's gone. I don't know. What would you do? In-shop consensus is this is staying. I found it's shiny and hopefully he won't be geometrically offended. And look what has been found. Apparently we have 2 boxes of random power supply cables. So we'll be able to figure out, maybe we'll find out what that front thingy majigger does. I will never claim to be an expert, but my goal is that there's only a few places they'd have to snip if they're going to rewire, and then everything is snug. Nothing's going to come loose and travel. Nothing's really tight against the plugins, you know, like, so none of these are really tight, but their wires are secure so they won't come loose when it goes home. And these are tucked in an organized fashion so you can pull this one out and pull these ones out, you know, that kind of thing. And also that it looks good from the front. Do other places do better than me? 100,000% yes, I'm sure. Is this better than when it came in? Also, yes. And this is, like I said, where I'm going to stop it, because I got zip tie there, couple there. Like, I don't want to have a ton, so that if he wants to come in and work on his own case, he doesn't have to sit here for 20 minutes and undo zip ties. And honestly, you know, he did what he could with the tools that he'd had. The tools being just some twisty ties is what he had. So, good job. I mean, you can only do so much. Not everybody's going to have a tower of zip ties to assist them. Anyway, I'm going to put the panel on. We'll see it from the front. Really finished product. Yeah, anyway. Is it perfect? No. This right here, these wires for the pump. Oh, hello. They're going to keep me up at night. Ooh. Okay, now the moment of truth is going to be whether this thing even turns on, because it wasn't getting past DRAM before, if that. The Michelin tubes just became 100,000% better. Oh, they light up! A cranky Windows never looked so sweet. It's fine. Okay, now that we've got the hardware sorted, let's see if we can get Windows sorted so he can get this puppy back. Oh, I wanted to know, that's what the little, maybe he doesn't want this plugged in. Can you change it? Whoa! Ooh! Wow! That didn't change. Lo siento. I want to get back to the rainbow unicorn vomit. Just to... Is that what that is? I think that's what that is. Okay, just so it matches the Corsair until I can get into Windows and fix it. Okay, we're gonna do check this DIS MSFC and see what happens.